All right, ready to dive deep. Today we're going to be looking at something that might sound a little technical, but trust me, it's fascinating stuff. Bills of materials and pricing rules.
It really is. These documents we're going to be looking at show just how much goes on behind the scenes when you buy a product online, especially if you're customizing it. Every time you click on a different option, well, there's a whole set of calculations and rules that come into play.
Yeah, it's like a whole hidden world. So what are we looking at exactly?
Well, we've got excerpts from a PDF. The title's pretty straightforward. Bill of Materials and Pricing Rules.
Okay, so let's say I'm online and I'm putting together, I don't know, my dream car, maybe designing a pizza with all the toppings. How do these rules come in?
They control everything. What parts are needed, how they all fit together, and of course, what you're going to pay at the end. It all starts with something called Configuration Bill of Materials Rules, or BOM rules for short.
BOM rules, okay.
Basically, think of it like a recipe, but it's dynamic. It changes based on what you choose. Like if you swap out, say, standard seats for leather seats, the BOM updates, it includes the new materials, maybe even extra labor costs. Add a sunroof. The BOM pulls in all the sunroof parts, make sure it all fits together right.
Makes sense. Now, the document mentions BOM modules. Those sound kind of complicated.
Yeah, they can be. Think of them like pre-packaged groups of components, so things that are often bought or assembled together. Defining those modules, though, that takes real know-how. Like, you need to understand how the product's put together, how all the different choices someone might make interact with each other.
Right, so it's more than just adding or subtracting parts. There are relationships, things that depend on each other.
Exactly. And this is where those triggers come in that we see in the document. They're like, if this, then that statements. So if you choose, let's say, all-wheel drive as an option, that might trigger the BOM to include, I don't know, a heavier duty suspension system.
Wow, I'm starting to see how important it is to get these BOM rules right. Imagine if someone orders a car with a sunroof and the BOM forgets to include the actual sunroof.
Oh, that would be a disaster. Accurate BOMs are crucial, for making sure manufacturing goes smoothly, for managing all the parts, and most importantly, making sure that what the customer gets is exactly what they ordered.
Right, of course. So we've talked about how BOM rules ensure you're getting the right parts. What about the price? That's where configuration pricing rules come in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Pricing rules, they work side by side with BOM rules. They take all those choices you make and crunch the numbers to come up with the final cost. These rules, they can be really simple or they can get super complex depending on the product.
Now, something I noticed in the document is that price visibility is optional, meaning companies can decide whether they're going to show the customer the price changing in real time or not as they're customizing. Seems like a big decision.
It is, yeah. There are pros and cons to both. Like if you're totally transparent, that builds trust, lets the customer feel like they're in control. But on the other hand, if you kind of reveal the price gradually, you can highlight how valuable each upgrade is, or maybe offer bundled deals later. It really depends on what kind of business it is, who they're trying to sell to.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's look at some examples. The document starts with simple pricing rules. And they use a Dell server as an example, fixed price.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Simple pricing rules are great for products that don't have a ton of options. Like that Dell server probably has a base price that doesn't change, even with some small customizations. The key here, like the document says, is to be upfront about the pricing. No hidden fees, no surprises.
Transparency, yeah. Things get a bit trickier with the advanced pricing rule example, though.
Yeah.
This one involves pizzas with different sizes, crust types, toppings. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
So imagine you're craving a large pizza, extra cheese, pepperoni, the works. The advanced pricing rule would calculate the price based on like a set table that considers the size, the crust, the price of each topping. Every choice you make triggers a price adjustment, so the final cost is, a perfect reflection of your pizza masterpiece.
So it's like a bunch of if-then statements in code. If the size is large, A and D, the crust is deep dish, and it has extra cheese, A and D.
Yeah.
You get the idea. It's all about logic and making sure everything's precise.
Exactly. And that highlights how important it is for the data to be accurate. Like if the price of pepperoni is wrong in the system, that error is going to mess up the whole calculation.
Wow. It really is like a carefully choreographed dance between the rules, the data, and what the customer chooses.
That's a great way to put it. And as we'll see when we talk about negative pricing, things can get even more complex when you factor in things like trade-ins, promotions, all those things that can make prices dip below zero.
Yeah, so it sounds like even a small change can have a ripple effect on the price.
Absolutely. Like, even if the customer just changes the color, it might trigger the system to recalculate other things too.
I see. So let's say they switch from red to blue. The system might also adjust the price of, say, the interior trim, or maybe some special edition packages that are linked to the color.
Right. It has to make sure the price is consistent and accurate no matter what the customer chooses.
That's impressive. So these rules are doing a ton of work behind the scenes.
They are. And it's all about making things smooth and easy for the customer so they don't have to worry about the technical stuff.
Okay, but I'm kind of curious about how this price information actually gets from the pricing rules engine to the online store's checkout. Like, how does it end up in my shopping cart?
Well, the document mentions something called a SOAP call, which is basically a way for different computer systems to talk to each other. It talks about a get price SOAP call.
So that's how the price, the one calculated by these rules, gets sent over to the e-commerce platform so the customer can see it and, so the payment can be processed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a digital handshake between the systems, making sure the price is communicated correctly and securely.
I'm really starting to get a sense of how complex all this is. There are so many different pieces working together behind the scenes.
It really is a testament to the power of software engineering. These systems handle a huge amount of data and logic incredibly quickly and accurately.
Now, the document also mentions AJX functionality. I sort of know what AJX is, but can you explain how it fits in here?
Sure, AJX is a technique that lets parts of a web page update without having to reload the whole page. It's what makes things like price changes or changes to the available options happen smoothly and instantly.
So instead of the whole page refreshing every time I change a car feature or add a pizza topping, AJX makes it happen seamlessly in the background.
Exactly. It makes the whole experience much more fluid and responsive.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when customizing anything online was like so slow.
Yeah.
AJX has definitely made things a lot better.
It has. And these days, everything moves so fast online. A smooth, intuitive experience is crucial for any business that's selling online.
Right. It can literally make or break a sale. So we've covered how BOM rules make sure you're getting the right parts, how pricing rules calculate the cost, even some of the technology that makes it all work smoothly. What about those cases where the price can actually go below zero? Like we talked about negative pricing earlier.
Yeah, negative pricing. That's a tricky one. And the document stresses that it should be used carefully only when it's really necessary.
It even suggests some workarounds to avoid using negative prices directly, like using hidden fields or doing separate calculations behind the scenes. Sounds like it can get messy.
It can. Negative pricing can throw a wrench in the system, especially when it comes to things like taxes, discounts, recommended items. It's often simpler to handle those scenarios in a way that keeps the prices that the customer sees positive.
So it's about finding clever solutions that keep the experience consistent and easy to understand, even when the pricing gets complicated.
Yeah, it's all about finding that balance between what works technically and what's best for the customer.
Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. We've explored how BOM rules ensure you get the right parts, how pricing rules calculate the cost, and even how things can get complicated with negative pricing.
And we've touched on some of the tech behind it all, AJX and SOP calls, all the magic that happens behind the scenes.
It's been a really fascinating look into something I never really thought much about before.
It really makes you appreciate the complexity involved in creating a simple online experience.
Yeah, I definitely have a new appreciation for what goes into online shopping now. Yeah. Yeah, it really is amazing when you think about it. All these people working behind the scenes to make it happen, developers, product managers, data analysts.
Absolutely. It's a whole team effort to make the experience of shopping online smooth and enjoyable.
So, okay, for someone who's, just browsing online, why should they care about all these behind the scenes rules? It's not like we're all going to be coding these systems.
Well, maybe not. But even just understanding the basics gives you a new perspective. Next time you're online customizing something, you'll have a deeper understanding of what's going on with every click you make, all those calculations, and the logic behind it all.
It's like learning the secret code of e-commerce. Suddenly, those drop-down menus and all the options make so much more sense.
Right. And it might even help you become a better shopper. When you understand how those pricing rules work, you can kind of predict how different choices will affect the price. Maybe even find ways to get more value, find some hidden savings.
Okay, so maybe we won't all become expert coders, but at least we can be smarter shoppers. I like that.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right?
This deep dive has really been eye-opening for me. It's amazing how much we just take for granted when we're shopping online.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that there are really smart people behind it all, making these systems work so well. All those algorithms that calculate the price, the interfaces that make it easy to customize things. It's pretty incredible what we can do these days.
So next time you're building your dream car, designing that perfect pizza, or just customizing anything online, take a minute to think about all those BMOM rules, pricing rules, and the technology that makes it all possible.
Remember, you're not just clicking buttons, you're interacting with a complex system,
Right.
one that's designed to deliver a personalized experience, make it enjoyable for you.
And now, you know a little bit about how the magic works.
Happy shopping.